What's up guys? In this video today I thought I'd do something a little bit different and try a reloading vlog. So I haven't really done a lot of reloading type videos on my channel yet. I've definitely focused more on shooting, but reloading is a big part of shooting, so I thought I'd kind of dabble with this and see what happens. So let's go ahead and let's get right to the video. We'll see you in a second. I have some Hornady electric scales that I keep right beside the reloader here. I've had these things since I started reloading. I mean, probably 5-6 years ago. So they've really held up well, and I've been really happy with the performance level of them. I feel like they are very accurate. Every now and then you'll have to change the batteries on them. Of course, it's going to depend on how much you reload, but for me it's probably about every 2 to 3 months I have to change them, and I reload quite a bit. So, and then here on this other side I have this little bin here for catching my holes that comes out of the reloader, and then I also have a nice whole container here. And then I have the primers right here, and I also have just a miscellaneous box with bushings, with boxes, with a funnel, all other types of just miscellaneous stuff in there. And then down below the table I have a huge gallon, I think it's like a 55-gallon trash container that holds all of my holes. It's all really easy access is what it's kind of focused on. And I really like this setup because I used to reload out in the garage, and I'd have a huge variance because of humidity here in Arkansas. If a thunderstorm gets ready to crop up, the whole conditions change really bad. So the weather conditions really would impact the consistency of the powder drop. And here, however, I pretty much only vary by like 0.2 of a grain, which is amazing because I'm inside in the air conditioning. The one thing I would recommend if you're going to have your reloading set up inside is not to put your shot in here. So I still keep my shot out in the garage, so whenever I have to fill my shot jug up, which I'm getting ready to have to here in a second, I always go out to the garage to do that, simply because of the fact you don't want shot going all over your house. So I remember one time whenever I was younger, those big 5,000 count BB bottles you can get, I dropped one of those right in the middle of the kitchen. So we found BBs for like 4 years after that. I mean, it was ridiculous. So you might want to keep the shot outside because 5,000 count of BBs, if you take a 25-pound bag of shot, you probably be finding shot BBs in your house for like 10 years or more. So you might want to take that little tip there if you do have your reloading set up inside, unless you're a lot better at pouring it and you don't have the risk of dropping things like I do from time to time. So let's go ahead and get right to reloading here. One point I wanted to bring up real quick. Your powder jug doesn't always have to be filled to the brim. Sometimes it's better if you keep it at about half to 3/4 full, sometimes even 1/4 full, because you want to see what your powder drop is. So for me, I'm getting 1145 red dot. With my particular load, I want to get exactly 18 grains of powder. Now I'm not really afraid of a little bit of a variance. So if it goes up to 18.4 or down to 17.6, occasionally I'm not too worried about that. But if we do get to the point that I'm consistently getting 17.6, 17.6, 17.6, or like 18 and a half or more, then I'm going to be starting to adjust a little bit. And the more powder you get in here in this bottle, I've found that it can cause you to get more of a powder drop, whereas if you have less, you're going to get a little bit less of a powder drop, simply because of the weight that's actually pushing down when the powder comes out. So I always like to pump out 2, maybe 3 shells before I measure, just to make sure that everything is nice and precise. I found that the first couple can be a little bit different, and once you get a few going, a few holes going, it can kind of start to level out and actually give you an accurate picture as to what your powder drop is. So let's go ahead and let's do that part here. 17.9, so that's not bad at all. I'm pretty happy with that actually, so I'll go ahead and pump out a couple more and then I'll check it again, and if that's all good then I'll go 25 to 50 shells, somewhere in that range before I check it, just to make sure everything's still going good. So that's an 18.1, so I'm pretty happy with having 17.9 to 18.1 is probably going to be my variance today, looking like consistently. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm just going to jump in here and start taking out these shells. Alright, so if you're wondering with this setup, I got a fairly well laid out setup with my whole bucket right here where I can grab that with my left hand, I can grab my wad with my right hand and just go right here and then pull the handle down and then do the whole thing over again. So I can pump out anywhere between 250 and 300 shells in an hour with this MEC 9000 GN reloader. Of course there's a little bit of variance there. If I have to put a lot of powder in, or I have to put powder, primers, and shot all in that hour, then it might dip down to about 200. But I can typically crank out quite a few shells over the course of an hour. And of course, if you have two people, you can have one sitting here putting the wad in and pulling the handle, while you have one putting the hole that's already finished from the hole box to an actual shell box, and also putting an empty hole in. So let's go ahead, let's jump right into reloading here and crank out a bunch of shells today. Okay, so I'm kind of glad this unusual problem happened, so that some of you guys may be new to reloading or new to this particular reloader can kind of get to see the problem solving process that goes on here. So I'm jumped up to about 18.6, 18.5 grains. Now I'm not too worried about that, if you will, concerned about that, if I can kind of keep that under control. But if that keeps creeping up, then I'm going to have to start being concerned. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tighten this bottle all the way up, and then I'm going to just barely loosen it. So typically what I like to do is to tighten my bottles, both my powder and my shot, all the way, and then I'll loosen them a quarter of a turn. But I'm going to go ahead and loosen a little bit less. That way maybe I can avoid having to change a bushing in this process. Maybe I can get that down from 18.6, 18.5 to like 18.3. Once again, I'm not hugely concerned about a half grain variance. It's not that big of a deal. But I don't want to get into that 18.7, 18.8, 18.9 range, simply because, like I said, I'm using this for singles and my first and second shot of doubles. So on that first shot of doubles, I don't want to be surprised by a little bit more recoil that comes across that can possibly kind of throw you off a little bit. So I want to go ahead and let's work through here, crank out a couple of shells, and then we'll look and see where we're at that point. Okay, so you could see there, I went from an 18.5, 18.6 powder drop all the way down to an 18.1 just simply by tightening this bottle a little bit. Now I think what happened here, like I said, typically I only vary in range by like 0.2, but we have a little minor storm getting ready to move in here probably for the next 30 minutes to an hour. So I think as that storm's getting closer, it's kind of slightly impacting my powder drops, because going up to 18.5 when you're running 18 grains is really not a huge deal. But whenever you start going up to a 19 range, that's whenever it starts to become a little bit bigger of a deal for somebody that I like to get this as consistent as possible to what I'm actually going to be shooting in a competition. So if I'm shooting 1145 feet per second on my first shot of doubles, then I want to be shooting 1145 feet per second on my first shot of doubles all the time in practice and in competition. I don't want that to jump up to getting closer to 1200 feet per second, because that's just going to be a little bit of an unexpected, unanticipated recoil that I'm not going to be prepared for yet. So I want to get this as close to accurate as possible. Now 18.5, I'm not worried about that. But once we get above that threshold to 18.7, 18.8, 18.9, and 19, that's whenever I start getting a little bit concerned. So let's jump right back into reloading here. Alright, so as you guys can see, we cranked out a few shells today, enough to last a little bit of practice. So thank you guys so much for watching today. If you enjoy these vlog style, whether it be reloading, maybe cleaning a gun, or shooting, let me know down in the comments section below if you enjoy this type of a video. Also, let me know what type of a reloading setup you guys have. What reloader do y'all use? Maybe your favorite powder type, your favorite shot brand, your favorite wads. So let me know all that good stuff down in the comments section below. Thank you guys so much for watching today. If you haven't done so already, you can subscribe to my channel here. I'd appreciate if you did that. You can also check out a couple more videos here. And we'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much for watching this video. Have a great rest of your day.